Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Red Table Wisdom Talk. I'm Cathy Mines, the Director of Wellness at Reach Yoga, taking my seat at the Red Table as host and call moderator. Our calls are Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. They run 70 minutes, including space for questions and sharing at the end of the teachings we'll be receiving tonight. Our calls are recorded so we can share and rewatch. And feel free to connect with me directly if you would like to host a Red Table Talk in your community. Okay, so last week, I want to touch on this. Last week, we were at capacity. So we were at 100 spots, and there was people from all over the world trying to get on. And we got donations. We got donations during the week, and we were able to expand the Zoom platform. So we are able to have 500 seats at the Red Table now. And so, oh my gosh, we were having a lot of excitement about that during the week. So thank you to those of you, you know who you are. Mwah. That was so helpful and beautiful and kind and generous. Thank you. So the Red Table Talks are weekly conversations between Kahontakwas Diane Longboat and people worldwide who are looking to participate in exchanges that lift the spirit. This virtual community space is provided solely for the purpose of making Indigenous teachings available in the spirit of reconciliation. Diane's a ceremonial leader, traditional teacher, healer, and the founder of Soul of the Mother, a healing lodge on the shores of the Grand River at Six Nations, Grand River Territory. This lodge is committed to the healing of Mother Earth through the spiritual evolution of humanity. Kahontakwas, we make our tobacco offering to you with respect and thanks for your traditional teachings tonight.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to see everybody. You know, it feels like a family reunion. And even though, you know, we're a gigantic Brady Bunch, I'm sure we're going to be in connection with each other as we move forward, going into ceremonies together, visiting each other, you know, sharing different kinds of lodges together. So I want to thank you all for coming and joining us this evening. You know, it's always our way to start any kind of gathering, whether it's a social gathering, whether, of course, always ceremonial gatherings, always with giving thanks to the Creator that we've seen another day. And, you know, that becomes ever more important these days when people are quarantined, when there's a sickness that's manifesting across the face of Mother Earth, and it knows no social class, it knows no race, no faith tradition, and it's moving now. And so this giving thanks is an old way of Haudenosaunee people, because at the beginning of time when those original teachings were given to our people, it was very, very clear how we were to be in relationship with one another and relationship with all the beings on Mother Earth. But as things will go with human beings, we have free will and we have a mind, and we forget and we become filled with ego, and we become more childlike when we become filled with ego. And so the Creator sent a messenger to us, and that messenger brought us that Thanksgiving address. And so, you know, today I was listening to one of our faith keepers in the Longhouse, and, you know, his words really uplifted my spirit. And when I hear him give that Thanksgiving address in the Longhouse, it just, it nourishes my spirit. And he'll do it in Cayuga language. Sometimes he'll speak Mohawk, sometimes he'll speak Onondaga, but he'll speak those languages and sing that prayer, and it's just so powerful. So I'm going to do just a shortened version of it for us this evening to bring, we say that it brings our minds together, because we're coming in from many different places, because there's stressors in our life now that we have never felt before to this extent. And so this offering of prayer, this invocation, is ever more important now. Yawa songwe disong ganalungkwa skona Kahontakwas Diane. So grateful to you, songwe disong, for the gift of life, to see one more day. We think of the people of the earth this day, songwe disong, that are your creation. And across the face of Mother Earth, we understand that there's a spiritual sickness that is moving across the face of Mother Earth, that is manifesting as a physical illness. We are learning our lessons as human beings. And we give thanks for all of those lessons that teach us to be humble, to help each other, to share everything that we have, to put old hurts behind us, and to support one another for the continuance of life. We honor all of those different faith traditions and peoples throughout the face of Mother Earth and give thanks for them, for they are each one the flowers in the Creator's garden. We acknowledge all of the great waters that are upon the earth, the fresh waters, the salt waters, the rain waters, and the birth waters. We give thanks because that water is the essence of life and represents the female. We give thanks for the grandmother spirit of the water who continues to watch over and protect the water. In this evening, as we offer our thanksgiving, we are mindful of the mineral life that is underneath our feet and how the Creator has swirled together the beautiful dusts of the universe from the most amazing places to create Mother Earth. And we are grateful for the mineral life. We are also grateful and give thanks for all of the plant life that is upon the earth, for it is the oldest form of life upon the earth. And it is that plant life that is nourishing us now in this time of a great illness. We give thanks and honor to all of the animal life that is upon the earth, to all of the beings that are in the waters and all the flyers in the air, to the smallest microbes that are in the soil. We acknowledge you and give thanks to you for the continuance of your life that you continue to add to the whole life force that is on Mother Earth. You work together with other beings and you create life and sustain life. So we give thanks this day to the four winds that are refreshing Mother Earth and to the thunder beings that were with us earlier this week in our area, and so grateful to them for the nourishment of sacred waters that heal the earth, the waters, and the air. There are above the earth 4 sacred beings that watch over humanity and continue to do their work, and especially now in these trying times. Give thanks to them and honor them for their teachings and for their prophetic warnings that they have given us in dreams and in visions. We acknowledge all the stars that represent our ancestors and the grandmother moon, sky woman, who represents for us as Amwehonwe people the female life and the continuance of life and fertility in the cycles in which she circles the earth. We acknowledge our brother the sun for the male energy that he brings and for that great life force that is called sunshine. We acknowledge all of the star formations in the sky world, and especially the one that is the beautiful formation that takes us, called the Milky Way, from the Earth dimension into the dimension of the place of peace. We find the fires of our ancestors are burning there, and we see that they are praying for us, and their prayers are strong, and especially now in the time that we face great challenges. We thank our ancestors for walking with us, manifesting here on the earth at our sacred fires, and bringing us great messages and teachings. We also are mindful of the Creator's council fire, and around that council fire are seated many, many great ones that have walked the earth as great teachers, healers, and leaders, speakers, carriers of sacred messages. We acknowledge all of those great ones that are seated there, and particular mention to all of those beings that assisted the Creator when He made the creation that we call here Mother Earth. Those spirit beings continued the work of creation here and assisted the Creator. So these words bring us all together now, and they collect our heart.
So it might just be Diane that her connection has stalled. Yeah, I'm getting some nods.
This is Jackie.
Hey, Jackie.
Sorry, the audio went out for a while. I wasn't sure if you were wondering if I was here or not.
Oh, you know what? It's also paused for Diane right now. I'm sure she'll pop back in.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay.
We might call on you for a song. So you can go ahead and type in where you're joining us from. I'm just going to text Diane and say we lost you.
I'm going to offer a song.
Oh, great, Cindy. Thank you. Thank you.
Get me the dominant until you're noted. Nigga masto di maui dane. Get me the dominant and where I bet so nigga masto
Ottawa. Thank you so much, Goananolo, for that beautiful song. And it's a Mi'kmaq song and honoring grandparents and ancestors and parents for all the teachings and all the blessings that they gave us, all the things that they left us on the trail that we could pick up in our generation. So thank you so much to Cindy, and I want to just offer some virtual smudge to everybody who's on the line here. And thank you for spending this time with us. You know, as we go in Canada into our third week of pretty much a quarantine, it's wearing pretty thin on people. And we see messages coming from other countries where in France, domestic violence has risen by 30%, and they're trying to remove women from homes and put them in safe places in hotels. So we're seeing, you know, the challenge of the mind throughout the world. And so this week is an important time to spend together to talk about how to take care of your mind, how to engage in spiritual discipline every single day so that you don't get pulled into negative thinking. And if you don't get pulled into negative thinking, then your mind is strong and you're focused and you're trying your very best every day to keep positive. You know that you're leaning on the Creator that is a force so much greater than yourself that will have everything in control. The Creator always has everything in control. We don't know how long the Creator is going to allow this virus to move on the face of the earth. And you know, we've talked about it as spiritual leaders and said, you know, this is an opportunity for us in this wave to learn our lessons and as human beings. And if we don't learn our lessons, then the next wave is going to come and it's going to be even worse than this one. So I want to talk about some of those lessons this evening as well. But the importance of spiritual discipline, no matter what faith tradition that you come from, is going to be the critical point that will help you to maintain your sanity, especially when we think ahead and we say, maybe we're going to be quarantined for 3 months. So what does that look like to you, to be quarantined for 3 months and to be away from family, friends, work colleagues, away from the socializing that you're so used to doing, and developing a new routine for yourself? And I want to share with you how important that daily routine is, because one of the things that we're so busy at is, you know, getting up, getting ready for work, getting the kids off and grandkids off to school, you know, doing all of those things that are the things of life. But the important part of that I want to speak to you about tonight is to create that spiritual discipline for yourself and put yourself on what I would call a spiritual schedule. Make sure that you're training your mind both in the conscious state of the daytime, but the unconscious state of the night as well. Because it's in this time period when I tell you that this sickness is a spiritual sickness manifesting physically, it's important to take care of your mind at night as well, and to have such faith in the Creator that when negativity comes at you in your dreams, you have the ability to call the Creator right away and to stop that negativity. So one of the ceremonies that I told you about last week that I wanted to share with you is the sun ceremony, and also the prayers of giving thanks when you first wake up in the morning. So let's start with first thoughts of the day. So here you are in bed and you're waking up and the sun is peeking through your window, and your first thoughts of the day should be thoughts of gratitude to the Creator, that you have one more day of life, that you are waking up without pain, that you have what you need to be able to live, food and water and clothing and shelter, and a way to be able to get the things you need in life. And some people would call that a job, or a source of income that is supporting your life. Giving thanks for life and for all the beings that surround us, the birds that are returning now in the springtime to sing to us, the grasses that are turning green from the thunder beings nourishing them, and for the seeds that are going to be sprouting pretty soon in our gardens. And so those thoughts, first thoughts upon rising, should be thoughts of gratitude to Somwe Diso, our creator. And so one of the ways that we think about that is to give those thoughts of gratitude even before your feet hit the floor. And so when we finally, you know, are showered, dressed, you know, and you're coming to give thanks for the day, to think about smudging yourself, to think about offering something of tobacco or another medicine, but to give something to the creator of thanksgiving from you, that you get to be alive as a human being for one more day. And I say that with all humility, because I think as human beings, we take our life for granted. I really believe we take our life for granted, that we believe we deserve things in life, that yes, we're going to work for them, but that this is what our life should be. And so, you know, what we're learning now is to live with greater humility, that that changes are all around us, that are far beyond our control. And so that creates a lot of mental stress for people. So when we give thanks in the morning, it's an opportunity for you to connect to that higher power we would call Somwe Diso, the one who made all things. And you may call the creator by different names, but it's all the same in the end, because there's only one being that is in control of the universe and of creation. And so making sure that you give thanks with your smudge, your tobacco, and, you know, I'll tell you, in the sun ceremony, we will use a glass of water as our medicine. So those ceremonies are important. And the reason they are important is because they offer protection. This is a time when all families should be mindful of the healing and the protection that they need to make it through these challenges. We've never faced anything like this before as a human family. And this is really bringing us to our knees with the COVID virus. It's affecting every aspect of our education system, our health system, our social services system, our economy. There isn't a human system in place that is not affected by this little microbe that is bringing humanity to its knees. And so, you know, we have to be ever more conscious of our spiritual relationship with the Creator, because the Creator holds all power. The important thing about even living in the city is that you can do these ceremonies no matter where you live. If you're living in the city, you can still give thanks. You can drop your tobacco off your balcony into the air. If you live by the water, you can put your tobacco in the water. You can put it on the land in the park. You can put it in a very beautiful container. And if you keep a container, then when you do have a chance to go outside, or you do have a chance to drop it off the balcony, then, you know, that's when you can make your offering, and maybe you'll do that on a weekly basis. So that's the first thing, and you'll each find your own way of making that communication with the Creator, but it's so important to do it in the morning when you're fresh and before your day begins, because you're giving the Creator, essentially you're surrendering yourself to the Creator, and you're giving the Creator control over your life. The way that you watch over your family at home is to create a sacred fire. And to do that sacred fire, Cathy's got some things in place now that she's gonna show you some of the things that we use. And the most, they're just real simple things that you can find in your home. One is a platter, and putting a candle on that platter. So you can put a a big round candle with many wicks. We like to use those in case, you know, one blows out as you happen to rush by. You can put a small candle like Cathy has that's already protected inside a little glass container. Whatever you choose to use as a candle, hopefully, you know, at some point you'll have your own storage of beeswax candles, because those are actually the best. Those candles sit in the center of the platter. And if you have just those like candelabra type candles, the tall tapers, you might want to, you know, put that in the middle, put those tapers in the middle of that platter, and get your 6 offerings together. So not all of you will have tobacco in your home, but you might have other things that are important to you in your faith tradition that you might want to offer. So we offer 6 things and 6 prayers. The first prayer to the Creator, always to the Creator, to ask for healing and protection. The second offering to Mother Earth, to ask the same. Then to all the spirit beings, and you know the ones that you talk to in the east direction. You know the ones that you talk to in the south and in the west and in the north. And the most important thing is to greet them and to make that offering of tobacco. So as you're talking to the Creator and you finish your prayer, put it on the platter. Then you're going to go to Mother Earth and finish your prayer, put your tobacco on the platter. And so around that candle will be 6 offerings of tobacco or whatever else that you want to use. And then when you're ready, you can light the candle. And that candle should burn in your home during the day. And you'll, of course, put it out at night when you go to bed. But the important part of that to remember is that, you know, you're teaching your children and you're teaching the other relatives that are in your home how to pray. And I really encourage you to pray out loud so that your relatives and your family and your children and grandchildren hear the simplicity of prayers and hear the honest call from your heart to the Creator for healing and protection for your family. And it's a time when you don't want fear to overpower people, and when children are so gifted that they can pull the emotions from your body as older people, and they can understand what you're feeling even if you don't say what you're feeling. And so if you're fearful at this time, children will be fearful at this time. And this is an important time for you to teach them to believe in the Creator, to respect that candle, not to blow it out. It's not a birthday candle. So, you know, teach them about the power of that candle to be able to connect to the Creator. The fire that is on that candle is the sacred fire. So you'll see on the screen here, Cindy is sitting in my screen. She's sitting on the top right. And behind her is the Sacred Lodge of Soul of the Mother that was constructed in 2016. And there's a sacred fire that's burning inside that lodge. It's a simple lodge with a dirt floor. And the fire that burns inside that lodge connects us to the Creator. And that fire is called the sacred fire of peace. And when you listen to these teachings and you light your candles, you're connecting to our sacred fire of peace. And that fire has been burning since 1994. And it burns for ceremonies, but between 2004 and 2011, that fire burned day and night. It burned day and night, and there were hundreds of people who came to serve at the fire. They brought food offerings, they brought cloth offerings, tobacco. They brought their own energy to be able to maintain that fire and keep it going and give us a chance to rest. And you know, there's a young man that's on the line here, Scuddy. he came and he actually lived with us for a while. People stayed for quite a while to help us with the fire because they really believed in it. And I really uphold and uplift the Council of Soul of the Mother, because it was really kind of us that whole first year that kept that fire going. And day and night, driving rain, snowstorms, cold winds, never put that fire out. And our people would get up, Soul of the Mother's Council would get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, feed the fire. And we kept that fire burning, for 7 years. And it burned for these moments in time when we need to connect with one another, and we need to be able to feel the power of the Creator. So when you light your candle, that's what you're really connecting to. So part of the challenge, that we're going to have is to keep our spirits really strong. And one of the things that I shared with the young people that I've taught over time is to do the sun ceremony. So if you want to write this down, you're most welcome to do that. This sun ceremony transforms your mind. And in the human being, the mind is such a predominant force. It appears to control emotions and the physicality of our bodies, but it is truly the spirit that is supposed to be the strongest part of us, that will feed our emotions and bring peace to us and help us to understand the depth of love. The emotions are supposed to feed the mind and guide the mind on how to think and value things and see things in the world and be in the world. And then of course, the mind guides the body to be able to move in the world in that way. So the sun ceremony is really a ceremony of 365 days. And it helps to transform your mind by totally connecting it to your spirit and your heart. So for this ceremony, you just need 3 things really. You need your smudge, your tobacco, and a glass of water. And the importance of that sun ceremony is that you're working with the sun. So you get up at sunrise every day for 365 days. You don't miss, you don't sleep in. And as you get up with the sun, you smudge yourself, you offer your tobacco, you give thanks for the day, and you drink the water. Because when the sun's light hits that water, it turns it into powerful medicine. And, we call it that medicine of the warrior of peace, because we've all been wounded in the world. No matter who we are, where we come from, we've all experienced genocide in our ancestral lineage. We've all experienced trauma, varying degrees of trauma from varying sources, and most people from multiple sources. And so when you experience trauma, you can choose to live in that trauma, or you can choose to transform yourself. And so my wish for you is that you transform yourself through the sun ceremony, and that water is the medicine that you drink every single day. And the reason that ceremony is done for 365 days is because a warrior never fails. If you're going to do spiritual work for the Creator, a warrior never fails. You never say to the elders, "Oh, I'm too tired to go to that healing ceremony to help that family. Oh, I have to go to work tomorrow, so I can't do that ceremony." A warrior never fails to serve the Creator first and foremost. And so, this ceremony helps you to understand that your first thought in the morning is the Creator. It's a sun ceremony, and it's drinking that medicine. And what I can tell you of how that medicine works is that it's like water. The negative is like, that comes at you in the day is like water off a duck's back. Like it just floats right off. You're able to see not that angry person sitting in front of you, yelling at you or swearing at you. What you're able to see is a human being who's been deeply hurt and wounded, and you have compassion for them. That's a different kind of human being. And so that's why I say that this ceremony transforms you. So if you sleep in, you have to start all over again, because you have to do it 365 days in a row. And at the end of that 365 days, you have completed something that even you in the depths of your mind thought that you couldn't do. But you've done something so powerful and so strong for yourself that the Creator has a gift waiting for you at the end. And I don't know what that gift is, but I just know that the gift is there. And it's a powerful moment in time when you receive that gift. And I've seen people go through this ceremony and receive the gifts. And it's just a really magnificent home. And it's really a transformative piece. The other piece that is really coming to the forefront is what is happening.
So we'll just give it a moment. I am getting messages that other people are trying to get on, but their lines are dropping too. It's just that kind of a night. So we'll just see. Just gonna let her know we've lost her. But let's face it, we all needed a moment to be reminded that we're gonna wake up every day with the sun and drink our water. Mm-hmm. Let's do it, everyone. So I can see that Diane's dropped off, so she'll come back on again. Hang on, I'm getting word. Yep, she's coming, trying to get back on. Do you want to unmute, Cindy?
I just want to say while we're waiting is each of us, the council went through the ceremony, and it was a challenge. And after a while, if it's your intention to do this in the very best way, then you put that out there and you ask for the help that you need. And you'd be surprised that in no time at all, you're waking up. You set your alarm and you end up waking up before the alarm goes off. And often is the case, every once in a while, we've all gone through a time where we've experienced coming close to sleeping in from having worked ceremony really hard and just exhausted. And the spirits will wake us up. They will actually shake us to awaken us. And so that's really an amazing process to go through. And yes,
thanks, Cindy. That's a powerful remembrance of what that was. And it's an important time for us. Okay, I'll start. So I want to talk a little bit about lessons learned. One of the things that we deal with in the world today is racism. Racism, division, hatred, anger at each other for having different viewpoints and so on. And it's dividing us as human family. What this COVID-19 virus is teaching us is that we need to act as one. That these countries that are in the world that are individually struggling with this are going to learn a hard lesson, that this is not a country issue. This is a global human issue, and we need to work together. We need to put our differences aside and help each other. So in this time period, wherever you are, I really encourage you to check on your neighbors, whether it's a phone call, check on the elderly and make sure that the children have enough. And I know in our area, you know, it's been a scramble. The men of our community have gone, you know, almost door to door to make sure families are okay and that they have what they need to make it through this. The men of our community have set up blockades on our roads because one of the local businesses that's here is the tobacco business and gas business. And so, you know, gas is a little bit cheaper in our community. And of course, cigarettes are, because Six Nations is the tobacco capital of the world, cigarette-wise, not sacred tobacco-wise. And the result of that is that we have people coming into our community from, you know, from Peterborough, from Toronto, Guelph, Kitchener, like all these towns in southern Ontario, because we live in what's called the Golden Horseshoe, in the most populous area of Ontario. And so the men put up blockades so that individuals could not come into our community except those who actually live there. And they did that to protect ourselves, but also to protect other people, because there were so many messages coming from our government that said social distancing is what will flatten the curve of infections. And so, you know, I really uphold the men of our community for doing that. And they're out there 24/7 manning all of those barriers that on roads that lead into our community. So we're, you know, we're acting as one for a change. And I'm hoping that this action of unity will carry on after this virus is over, because there's so much lateral violence, not only in our community, but in all communities. There's lateral violence, there's jealousy, there's division and hatred. And so this is our time now to start to see each other in a different light and to be able to value each other in a way that we maybe never had a chance to before. And the other message I want to give to you is how important it is not to be afraid during this time. You need to know that sacred fires have been lit in Indigenous nations all over Turtle Island. And as much as we light our fires in our home lodge and keep our ceremonies going on a daily basis at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., that, you know, this is done so that for protection, it's done for your protection, for your healing, to strengthen your mind. And, you know, what we're going to see is the difference between what we're doing collectively and what people are not doing on the outside. So people who are not taking care of themselves spiritually are the ones that we're going to see with the most mental health issues following the end of this first wave of the virus. So be mindful of that. It's a time when we can actually have time to develop our faith in a way that maybe we didn't have time before. What spiritual discipline also does for us is it develops a feeling of security, because we're depending on the Creator, on a force that is greater than ourselves. And so I think the other part that's important for me is, you know, I devoted my life to ceremonies and to medicine. And what I see happening at this time period, not only among our own people, but among society as a whole, is they're beginning to ask the questions, where is the medicine that we need to be healthy, to make it through this? And you know, the truth of it is that you need to build your immune system. You need to build your immune system, and there's natural medicines, even this time of year, you know, coming out of the winter and into springtime, those medicines are out there. And so, you know, developing a sacred relationship with the life force that's on Mother Earth and with the life force that's in those plants is so important. And one of our faith keepers was talking today about the protocols that are used when you go and you pick medicines, that you take an offering with you. And when you find the medicine in the bush that you're looking for, you never pick the first one that you find. You go deeper into the bush, and there's going to be one of those plants or trees or shrubs or berries that you're looking for is going to be bigger than the others. We always call that the chief of the medicines. And we address that one in particular, and we give thanks to that chief. And we say, you know, we use our traditional names, and we say, you know, we're coming to you and humbling ourselves, because as human beings, we have no power to heal ourselves, but we know that you have power. And we're asking you if you'll give up some of your people so that we can make medicine, so that we can be stronger. And, you know, when you make that supplication to the plant life, you got to leave something. You just can't take. And the other part of that protocol is that you only take as much as you need. So you don't, and you know, that goes so totally against what we're seeing in the grocery stores today, which is that people are hoarding. They're fearful, they're hoarding, and they're not leaving enough for others. So, you know, these feelings of security are so important. The feelings that, you know, we have seers and visionaries amongst our people, traditional healers amongst our people, who are so gifted at knowing how to use those medicines in the quantity that they need to be used. Because, you know, that's the other piece of it, is that those medicines can be harmful if you don't know how to use them in the dosage that they were meant to be used. That's why our traditional healers and our seers and our medicine people are so valuable to us, because they have that knowledge that was passed down to them through the generations in their families, and they've picked it up. And they were never valued before, you know, from the outside. Of course, we always valued them on the inside of our communities, but their great and inherent value is being sought after now by many, both inside and outside the community. So we're finding, you know, as we go through this challenge as human beings, and we say that Mother Earth is one being, we're understanding now that humanity is also one family with many branches and many diverse faith traditions and races and ways of being in the world. But we need to understand that we are one family, and that we live in a time of great abundance. This is not a time of scarcity. And although companies and maybe retail would try to help you to think that there's scarcity so you buy more, you know, the truth of it is that the Creator put us here on Mother Earth, and He gave us everything that we need to be able to make a good life here, and that there is no scarcity here if you live by the natural laws of the earth. So we need to stand together at this time period, and we need to understand that something really powerful is happening, not just, you know, with the unity that's unfolding, with the faith that is getting stronger, with uplifting our spiritual people and the gifts that they carry, but what is happening even among this small group that we have here is that the people in our small group have had relationships with one another over time, that we have known each other in many ceremonial circles, and that those old ceremonial families are reconnecting again. And I think that's a really powerful opportunity to pray together and to do great work together. And I'm not saying how that work should unfold, but I'm saying that it's an opportunity to find one another again and to do amazing things. So we're seeing here in our community that families are going into the bush a lot, taking their children with them and teaching their children about medicines, and that there's a real resurgence of old family values, where people are checking in on each other. Young guys are cutting wood to help the elders. There's young guys who have been trained by some of our Our medicine people here with working with plants are primarily women. And so a lot of those young guys are going into the bush and they're gathering the medicines, and really grateful to be helping the community at this time. And as difficult as this time is, to feel that sense of community is to feel security. And that's what I feel with these weekly talks that we have, is that there's a sense of security and faith that's building that that needs to be nurtured. And you will decide whatever way you want that nurturing to look in your life, but that it's important to be nurtured spiritually. So I want to really give a shout out to our relatives from South America who are also joining us on this call. Thank them for the time. So I'm going to turn it over to Cathy now, because I want to have an opportunity for you. You've prepared your journals. Last week you shared some powerful messages, spiritual messages. You shared dreams. You shared visions. So I want to open it up to you now to share whatever you'd like to share, because I know on this call there's many spiritual leaders. So thank you for being here. Thanks, Cathy.
Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. Maybe I could just start with a couple of questions of clarity that have been coming up in the chat. And I'll say there's 3 questions that came up. One, what do I do with my offerings? So we have that back to once our small ceremony is complete, what to do with the offerings. What kind of offerings, again, when we don't have tobacco? And the 3rd question is, can I use my salt lamp as my sacred fire?
I think, it's been our experience, and Cindy will laugh at this. It's been our experience as we've traveled to different places, whether we're doing ceremonies in hotels. One time we were invited to a national conference of women and wellness, and we were given a room to work in for a woman's healing ceremony. And when we walked into that room, it was the grand ballroom of this hotel, and it was huge. And we thought, wow, here we are in downtown Toronto in this grand ballroom, but we're going to create a lodge in here. And we did. So, it's that kind of thing where it's the intention of talking to the Creator that is the most important part of all of this. And if you have a salt lamp and that becomes your sacred fire, then that's what you're going to use. Because what prayers you offer at that salt lamp are the important pieces. What kind of offerings can you use? If you have sage, sweetgrass, cedar, white pine, maybe you have some different kinds of plants that are important to you in your culture. You can make those offerings. You can do food offerings, small plates of food offerings as well. And if you have cloth, maybe you sew, you can make a cloth offering. So there's many, many different ways of making those offerings. And what I would suggest to you is that you find a nice bowl to put them in. And if you have a deck or a balcony, you can put the food offerings out there, or a backyard, you can put the food offerings out there. That would be great. But if you're in an apartment in the city, put those food offerings out on the balcony. Keep a container for all of the other offerings. And when you have an opportunity to go outside and to put those offerings outside, then you can put them on the land somewhere, and that should do it.
Thank you. Now is the time for anybody that wants to type their name in the chat if they want me to call them, just so we're not all unmuting at the same time. Is there anybody that would like to share something? Or you can raise your hand. There's the hand raise, or type in the chat so I can help you get on. We can do it. It's our chance. All right, you know, Reach Yogis, I'm going to call you in. Come on. I'll unmute one of you. Ken, I'm coming in. I'm going to check in on you. Oh, you're lucky I can't unmute. How are you doing, Ken? Oh, hang on. Turn your volume up. Oh, Ken, you had your chance, but it's not working. Okay, I'm going to mute you again. All right. Sorry, it didn't work. Sunny, what about you? Have you got anything? Oh, and then we've got Jenny up. Thanks, Jenny. Okay. Anything, Sunny?
Just to add to what Cindy said about the sun ceremony, we have all done this. We've worked with Diane for a long time, and started, and you know, for me, failed and then restarted. Especially, it's not bad when you have 5 or 6 days in, but when you're at like 298 and you fail, then it's not good. But you do feel great after you do it, because you have that strength of that spiritual warrior. And so I encourage everybody who hasn't done it to do it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So go ahead, Jenny, unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, first of all, for all of the sharing tonight and the past 2 weeks. I'm really grateful to be here to hear all of this. And I have a question that was kind of, some thoughts came up for me while you were talking about having the sacred fire in the home and sort of modeling that spiritual discipline for the rest of the family. And I wondered if you had anything further, because I feel like, when we're in quarantine with our families, or what amounts essentially to a quarantine, one or two people in the space might be practicing the spiritual discipline and maintaining good mental health habits, and some other folks might be quite anxious and quite taken with what's happening. And so I just wondered if you, aside from modeling, if you had any advice on sort of managing that dynamic in the home.
I think that's a really great question. One of the things that I think is really important is to smudge your house every day. And you have a choice on what kind of medicines you're going to use for smudge, whether it's cedar, sweetgrass, sage, or maybe it's incense, but when you walk through the house with that medicine and you're praying and you're asking the Creator for the healing and the protection that you need, and if there's anything that's negative in that house, to be able to let it go. So typically what we'll do is we'll light the smudge at the front door, and we'll go through the house. We'll open up the cupboards, the dishwasher. We'll walk through each room of the house. If there's a basement, go through the basement, and end at the front door. So if you started at the front door, you're going to end at the front door. If there's anything negative that's in that house, it has to move in front of the medicine. And so when you finish at the front door, you're going to open the front door, and you're going to ask the Creator to take whatever is in your house that is negative, that doesn't belong there, to take it and redirect it in a good way. And, so, because only the Creator has the power to change negative into positive. And so, when you open the door, that's the prayer that you make. Creator, please, if there's anything negative that is here, take it and change it into positive. And you know, the reason you do that is because, you know, you don't want to just open up your door and that negative goes out and it goes into somebody else's house. It doesn't deal with it then. It just simply moves it from one location to another. And I think that's not the purpose of spiritual work. Spiritual work is to confront the negative and to defeat that negative, not by your own personal power, but because your spirit is connected to the Creator, and the Creator has all the power. So you know how to pray, you know how to reach for that power. So I would do that. And you know, what I say to you is, you know, as you model this way of life, and even though others are not necessarily supportive of it or joining you, you know, that's the role of the warrior. You model that way of life, and you know, you never give up just because other people are making fun of you or don't support you or, you know, leave you. You don't give up, because in the final analysis, this relationship that we have as spirit having a human experience in this physical body, this is a test for us. This is a test for us to be a human being and to walk here on the earth. And when things get hard, do we like descend into the pit? No, we take the high road and we maintain our spiritual discipline. We maintain our higher values. We maintain the behaviors and the actions that are caring, loving, loyalty, forgiving, compassionate. Those are the things that define us as human family. And so, you know, despite the fact that others are not following or joining or supporting, you know, they become secondary to you fulfilling your spiritual mandate with the Creator. Because every single one of us, when we were born, there's a spiritual mandate that was put inside of us. We have to fulfill something here for the Creator. And if we don't finish that job, we're going to come back again and again and again and again. So let's finish what we need to finish here this time, so that we can evolve spiritually and serve the Creator at maybe a different level than where we're at right now.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mai, you're up next. Unmute yourself.
I just wanted to share with regards to what you just said, Diane, is that for about 21 years, I've been on a morning call with two dear friends. We met at a course, and so every morning one of us would read a prayer from either the Blessings book or any blessing book or any kind of prayer book. And then each one of us would say what possibility we would create for the day for ourselves. For example, I am the possibility of divine guidance, divine blessing, and blah, 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 blah. And then what we're grateful for. And we've gone through cancers, car accidents, heart surgeries, but it's the one prayer, the thing that has grounded me. And these two women are my community. And just to back what the other lady earlier said, you know, my family doesn't follow what I do, but my two sons have come and said, "Oh, you're still doing that, huh?" So my one son is starting to do some prayers and meditation. So eventually they catch on. That's it.
They do. I have absolute faith in the young people that they're going to carry us forward, and you know, hope for the elders to step forward as well to support those young people in the quest to rebuild the earth. because what we have in front of us now is collapsing, and we need to be able to rebuild based on a different set of ethical values. And I think, you know, I think the young people got it now. I think that they understand that, and they understand the challenge that's ahead. But they also need the wisdom of the elders to support them. They need healing and they need protection, and that's the medicine that the elders carry.
Beautiful. Thank you. Kelly, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Honey, say go. Hi, Diane.
There you go. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to share in regards to a little bit in working with spirit, working with spirit, and sharing that with the young ones. I have a young grandson that tends to follow me everywhere into the bush, and I'm finding that more and more our kids are getting out into the bush, especially during this time, So one of the things that I like to share with him especially is being able to utilize the land, how everything has its own spirit. And just by walking on the land, being able to utilize the elements in itself, right? Mm-hmm. So usually we'll start on land and we work our way to the water. And as we're walking, we'll talk about like the different elements. So being able to utilize the air, the wind. So sometimes I'll show him different techniques of just being able to stand, spread his arms wide, and just allow the the medicine and the spirit of the air and the wind to be able to blow off those things that are heavy on his heart. Yeah. So that way, as he works through his lifetime, he's able to utilize, because not always do people have maybe the medicines available, and all we have to do is stand outside, utilize everything we have, right? We're standing on the ground. We can utilize Mother Earth to be able to help us. We can utilize the sun and the moon, the spirit of that. Sometimes even just utilizing the spirit of the water. That connection, spirit to spirit, can be in many forms. So I just wanted to share that quickly, just to say, Ani, big shout out to a couple of people that I see out here too that I haven't seen in a while. So miigwech for continuing to meet up every week. I appreciate it.
Miigwech.
Thank you, Kelly. So I'll mute you. Okay, good. Diane, could you take one more from Michael before we wrapped up? Okay. Sure. Michael, unmute yourself.
Hi, thanks Diane. Thanks for the talk. Cathy for organizing all this, and to the Council of Soul of the Mother for all your prayers. I just wanted to share that in the last few days I've been able to take some time off work. So I've been doing a lot of the things that you've been suggesting, Diane. And I've had these memories of somebody who was a family member, deceased, an uncle of mine. And a very beloved uncle that I haven't seen for about 40 years. He's been gone. But he came out of the Depression, out of real deprivation, grew up dirt poor. And he was very, very resourceful. And great storyteller, great sense of humor, and was always able to land on his feet. You know, so he's been coming to me in the last few days very strongly, just these memories of him, and as a reminder that, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, you got community, you got food in the table, you got water. There's a whole lake down at the foot of my street. I'm never going to go thirsty. And, you know, it's been very, very, like you were saying, like a feeling of security I've been getting from the practice. And, you know, these unexpected, like visits from my Uncle Cyril. God bless him. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
You know, I think maybe when we get together next time, there's a speaker that's going to come, and I think Cathy's going to announce who that person is going to be as a guest. But you know, one of the things that I think is important for us as a group is to talk about the feelings that we have of what this past week has been like. Because I know, you know, now we're into the third week, and for quarantine in our area anyway. And so, I mean, that first week was high anxiety for a lot of people as they're making a huge adjustment, learning to work remotely, learning to be alone. You know, we're social beings here, and especially in our culture, everything is community and family. So it's tough. That second week was kind of weaning yourself off the news because it was so horrific every single day, and starting to develop kind of a normal pattern of family life. And I find this week is more of a settling week. Like we're actually settling into it now, and I think as spiritual people, we're accepting of what this really means going forward. Like this is a gift to ourselves, but it's also a gift to others. And, you know, we have to keep reminding ourselves of that this is not really hardship. This is not hardship. We get to be home. We get to be with family. We get to cook like real meals as opposed to, you know, running for something quick from the cafeteria that's not healthy. And then, you know, trying to work and working long hours and working stressful jobs. This is actually a gift to us. And this time period needs to be used in a way that's going to nourish ourselves. And I think we're being asked to self-reflect on what is it that we need to be the best that we can be, and make the changes that we know individually we all need to make. And I certainly include myself in that. So, you know what? Be strong in your faith. Know that you're being held in ceremonies every single day. Know that the fires are burning for you, that you are much loved and prayed for in this lifetime, and that we have community that supports one another. That to me is the wealth that we have in life. The wealth is the loving relationships that we have amongst us. So, you know, that's what I'd like to leave you with this week. Next week we'll talk about, you know, how was your week? How are you feeling now? Because I think we need to spend also some time to debrief on that as people move into that fourth week. So thanks so much for your time and your love and your respect. Thank you to Cindy for the song and for her teaching on the sun ceremony. Before we sign off, Cindy, is there anything else that you want to particularly add?
Not really. Just do it. You'll get so much strength. And, you know, I want to just say that it's the power of the fire. It's the power of your faith. That sun ceremony will build your faith, and things will fall into place around you. Your family, your cherished ones will fall into place around you, and they too will be held when you take the lead.
Good message.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody, and I've put the link. So this is the Red Table Talks page that's on the Reach Yoga page, and I put it there so that you all know that each week you can go onto that page and find the next link so that you can keep joining us. You don't have to worry if we're having a hard time, of course, keeping up with all the emailing and things. So you can always go there and find that link. Also on that link is the donation button if anybody feels moved to do that. Like I said earlier, this week we were dancing to receive so that we could expand the seats around the table for this month. So if anybody is feeling in that way, we would love and appreciate that. I'm seeing all these thank yous and beautifuls coming in. Paha Pate Sawe is coming next week, a beautiful sister of Diane's, and I've had the great pleasure of spending time with her also. So please come next week and get double trouble wisdom. It's going to be really, really beautiful. Diane, thank you so much. Good night. We love you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you all next week. Thank you. Good night. You can unmute.
Good night.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.
Bye. Good night, Phoebe.
Good night, everyone. Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen. Okay, recording will be available soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, Diane.
I'm figuring it out. Thanks for all your patience, everybody. Love you. Sweet dreams.